to Salmon's Pizzeria. It's been a while since you've last seen myself, but it's me, Jenna, hosting tonight's show alongside my good friends Thomas and Ethan. How are we doing tonight, gents?
I'm alright. I'm less numb than I was for the last 2 months. But apart from good to be back. I travelled all the way to uni to do this. But so I'm in a good mood for once. But yeah,
Must be nice.
What about-
Can't relate. My team lets me down every week. So, what about yourself, Ethan? How you keeping?
I'm absolutely fucking buzzing. Nothing's changed from last night. I'm still well over the moon.
You know what? I don't blame you in the slightest, to be honest. That's deserved, honestly. Kind of going off that then, guys, obviously, Scottish Cup weekend. Funnily enough, last time I was on the podcast was after Mull exited the League Cup, kind of fitting, and I promise it'll be no slander against Sir Andrew Halliday. I promise I'll behave. I've finally been let out of the dungeons and been allowed to come on the podcast since my last little rant on here. But what do you make of the games then? Obviously, I know you guys will be eager to talk about your own team's ones, but was there any team outside of your own games that kind of caught your eye in terms of the results?
I think the Wraith Rovers game certainly caught a lot of attention. Well, I don't know if they would use the phrase derby for that one, but there's a bit of a rivalry. I've always kind of felt when it comes to that kind of triangle of Falkirk, Dunfermline, and Wraith Rovers. And that looked. I didn't watch the game live. I caught the highlights, but I certainly wish I was watching it at the time. Unfortunately, I was a bit busy, but it looked like an absolutely cracking game. And, that's a very good Falkirk side, of course, getting their plaudits all season under John McGlynn. A very neat footballing playing side. But Wraith Rovers kind of shown the embers of last season, to kind of win late on, to win from behind as well. And for Wraith Rovers fans, it's been a very I'm sure, as Callum will remind us quite often, it's quite the hot and cold season for them, and they'll just be delighted that whilst maybe they aren't competing where they want to be in the league, they're at least getting ones over the likes of Dunfermline and Falkirk.
No, definitely. It was Wraith that put out Motherwell, not the season there, but the one before it in the Cup as well. So they've proven as well they can take on Premiership sides with ease. I think they destroyed us with 3-1 that day, I think the score ended up being. So they have kind of proven themselves that they can fight at that level. Kind of talking about that, Thomas, do you have any opinions on any of the games at all that you were either able to see live or highlights?
I was going to say St Johnston because
Come on.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, I'm not saying that just to get at you, but it's because it's the game because Valakari's had a lot of he's got to put politely as I can, a bit of a crap job he's got on his hands. It's not his squad, and he's trying to play this whole entire new tactical system, and it seems to have finally starting to get something because you can. There's decent enough players in that team, Nicky Clark, and of course everyone's going to say Sidibe and all them.
Yeah.
But they did a very good job of controlling the game, which they've not done all season really well, except against probably Aberdeen. But yeah, capitalizing on poor defending from Motherwell, and it shows that St Johnstone like a cup game anyway. So yeah, I was impressed with St Johnstone. I'd say the most out of the teams this weekend.
No, to be honest, I do agree with you. If I take the Motherwell hat off for a second, then they did actually play really well. I thought we were going to be guaranteed at least a win in the cup, then maybe drop points to them when we play them on Saturday because the two back-to-backs a bit iffy in terms of tactics, things like that. But we just were not on the game at all. I know we've got injuries in defence, but there's just no defending the performance that we put out there. It was the same as when we were playing Hibs the weekend before it. It was just, it's not the Motherwell team that nearly beat Rangers at the end of December, put it that way, and it's only about 2 or 3 weeks of a difference. So, not pleasant watching for me, but I suppose for you neutrals, it was probably quite good to see St Johnstone finally get some sort of a good result.
Well, I'm not particularly keen on St Johnstone, to be fair, so... But, no, the few interesting points raised there, obviously, Valakari trying to play his own styles, their kind of main talking point throughout the season. And the Cups are kind of a bit of a clean slate. There's that comment saying about how form goes out the window when it comes to derbies, and I think that the same thing can be said about cup games because it's a complete clean slate. Whilst your form might be particularly bad in your division, it's kind of this is a one-off. This is chance to kind of up your game because you don't know who's watching for a start. And that's probably the best explanation you get towards why you get all these kind of upsets and giant killings and so much so forth. You mentioned Wraith Rovers defeating Motherwell earlier. In recent years, they've knocked out the likes of Aberdeen. I'm sure they knocked us out of Scottish Cup once or twice too. Some teams are just really built for it. Falkirk traditionally, I think, used to be quite a good cup side as well, and they gave themselves a great account in the league. They got put out in Parkhead, I think it was, where they scored 2 goals. Very few teams have put 2 goals beyond Celtic this season with a defensive record. So, but a question I probably have for you on your end, Jenna, is you know about that Motherwell team being so different now compared to the end of December.
Yeah,
I seem to recall when things were high flying for Motherwell, there was still a bit of talk about a lot of injuries in the Motherwell camp. That was kind of emphasised a lot, as Motherwell are doing very well. However, there's still a lot of injuries, so when they come back, the team will look even stronger. So is there maybe a case to be made that players have come back in and it's actually maybe upset the system a little bit?
potentially. It's a bit of a weird one because a lot of the long-term guys, they are still out injured. Like, majority of the signings we brought in over the summer, they've all became long-term injured. I don't even think they've had a chance to even step foot in the Fir Park grass, never mind actually meet the boys properly, like see how the chemistry goes in games. I mean, there was Paul McGinn, like captain, no problem, injured around about September, October time, was back for 1 game and now he's injured for the next 4 months. It's just daft wee things like that are going against us. Like, you'll have like established players, they'll leave, we'll bring new people in, and it works well. But then the injuries, I just don't know where they're coming from at this point. It seems to be, I've read something, it's like about 9 or 10 first team players that we've got out. So it's near enough a full starting 11. And it's just never ending, it feels like. I'm wanting us to bring more people in, but just for short term loan deals, end of the season, just to kind of try get us past this. But at the same time, I don't want it to turn into a too many cooks in the kitchen scenario, which is kind of what we've got now, where players are coming in, they're still kind of getting used to dynamic, see how they play off other players in 90 minutes, because how they do in training will be completely different from on the park. And it's like good sell, bad sell, you know what I mean? Like, they want more bodies in to fix these issues, but at the same time, the bodies that we have, they should be able to perform, but for some reason, they're not. Kind of.
No, and interesting. Yeah, I was very. I think I made that point earlier in the season. I wonder if that would upset the system. So I think it is interesting to see that that's not entirely the case. I just say it's more down to injuries.
You still there, Ethan? It kind of glitched out there. You still with us?
Oh, yeah, no, sorry. I finished my sentence. I was wondering why there was an awkward silence.
No, it was fine. It was like it started to glitch just as you were saying it. No, I find it interesting how it then just. No, apologies about that, but no, I know.
Oh no. Yeah.
And it's got out again.
Yeah.
It's
Sorry.
not a piece
Okay.
of it's technical difficulties, Dundee.
Let me.
Power editing, you'll be fine.
Julie and Alex will have a field day with this one.
Yeah.
Just while Ethan's fixing that.
Could you hear me fine before?
It's like it comes and goes. It's like that kind of like you'll be talking and then boom, boom, and then yeah.
Right, hang on. I've literally just ordered a new pair of earphones actually, so I'm opening the bag as we speak and seeing if the microphone from that will maybe fix this.
Right, get a go. Give that a tester sentence.
Yeah, I've just untangled it. Right, here we go.
Drum roll, please.
Right, gonna test.
Aye, you sound brilliant now. I think.
Hello, how's that?
Aye, you're sorted.
Oh, super. Right, yeah.
Right.
Okay, yeah, sorry about that. No, I was just kind of making the.
Oh dear God.
This is like a sitcom at this point. As soon as you make your point, you cut out every time.
It's the censorship guys. They just went, no, that's it. Not allowed opinions tonight, Ethan. That's it.
Yeah, I think I'm goosed here. Like, this is.
It's bad to laugh. I'm sorry.
It's brutal.
Maybe try without the headphones, maybe?
Can you hear me now?
It started off strong, but it went all robot there towards the end.
Yeah, so I honestly no idea what that could be.
It sounds fine for now. We'll just roll with it.
Like,
and we'll
not at all.
We'll just get the guys to put captions on it or something. We'll get them to just like put captions. But
I'm like,
to say was.
the microphone, so let's see how this goes.
Right, test our sentences to see if this is working. When was the last time you ate a pizza?
The last time I ate a pizza, probably last.
We got right up until last time I ate a pizza was last, and then it got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Okay, I'll oh, right.
Hold on.
Kind of running out of ideas here.
I'm going to message Stuart just to see if he says anything. Can you hear Ethan okay? Oh, wait, we'll not kick you off. We'll not kick you off.
Just need Sam to make an entrance now.
So this is when we announce a surprise guest of the nearest person in our household that's got a laptop. A deadline day emergency loan signing from someone. Brilliant. Lee says he can't help. Excellent. Great start. Actually, this is a pre-recorded one anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I shit myself when it said live for a second, hoping that this wasn't like being streamed.
Yeah, the thought did cross my mind as well. Let me check, actually. I think it should.
To be fair, I never saw the Pizza Pod post. We're going live at 8 o'clock on Twitter, so I think we're fine.
Yeah, I don't see a live thing, so we're good.
Right. I've got another microphone in now.
How many microphones do you have?
Well, it's more to do with the headsets. I'm doing this off my phone. I'm not sure if my laptop actually has any battery.
Yeah. I've got mine has horrible battery life. I just have mine charging right next to me, just in case. It will still cut out.
Was it cut? Was I cutting out the entire time, or was it just as I trying to talk towards Motherwell?
It's literally just you started like trying to like talk about Motherwell, then the pizza thing. It was just like
it was just unfortunate timing.
Right, so it wasn't before that though. Before that, I was heard.
Yep.
Right, here's a test sentence again. See if this is working. We'll just tell the guys to cut out this bit.
Yeah, I think we'll have to. Test sentence. On the spot, I don't know what to say. No. How about this? Is this fucking microphone deciding to work yet? I don't know. I think it's got to be the microphone, right? I can't.
This is the best I've heard him. To be fair,
and you know what?
So this might have to be it.
Oh man.
I've said to the guys is like, listen, we've been having some techie issues. That just cut out 8 minutes to 14 minutes, and we'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
This is where we just sit still for like a second, so like, can you be cut nicely and go, St. Johnston. I love technology, man. It's a great invention. Works so great.
The fact that I've had no Wi-Fi has made me realize how dependent on technology I am. Like,
oh, that's right. Your flat's still not working in it.
Yeah, it comes on the 31st, so I've got no data. I I added on data, but I don't have data. So it's just I hate technology so much right now. So that's why I
Nah,
had to go all the way to bloody Napier to do it. But it gets me out of the house. I'm fine.
stops you from strangling your flatmate that didn't get it fixed in time.
Water under the bridge. Water's under the bridge.
Back, it'll be fine.
I don't want. It'll be fine. We have a date sorted in the time, so someone's definitely gonna stay in. I'm at uni at the time, so I can't do it. I don't want to talk about that. I'm here to talk about
Yes, back to pizza
pizza,
podding and
pizza in
football,
Scotland, pizza in Scotland, football.
scoring
Right.
goals and the big fixture. If you've ever seen, what's it called?
Um, it's. I know it's
Lots of
Robert
people.
Webb and Robert Webb and David Mitchell. Mitchell and Webb. Yeah,
Aye,
I think it is.
the video thing. Have you seen the game? The big fixture. This is also this podcast. It's just done.
Oh, that's Peep Show, is it not?
I thought it was Peep
Yeah,
then
that's
after
Peep
you
Show.
said it, I was
Yeah,
like,
it's Peep Show. It's Peep Show. Yeah, it is Peep Show. Yeah,
I know
because
my
they
bad.
do they did that other football
And
sketch where they were just like football's on all the time, every day. But yeah, all right, let's stop.
kick the ball.
Yeah, that one. Aye.
Simply score a goal. It's not that difficult.
Once in a while, I'll always like once in a while I'll load up the Alan Partridge football commentary just to go. Oh, great. Right, let's get on with this.
Aye, I've said to the guys 8 to 17 minutes, just cut it, it'll be fine. We're cooking now, we're all good, so Ethan, kind of touching on St Johnstone, then I know you had some points you were dying to make, but then you were having technical issues, so what is it that you make of St Johnstone then so far, especially with in terms of that cup game?
Yeah, I can't really remember. Was the reason why you see so many giant killings in cup competition specifically is probably down to the fact that it's a clean slate. There's that whole saying when it comes to derby games that form goes out the window, and I think the same can be said about playing in the cup. I mean, yeah, sure, you might be low on confidence playing week in and week out in your division, playing teams that run the same standard, but then when it comes to the cup, it's kind of like, well, it's a one-off now, isn't it? And it's
Yeah.
a lot more to lose all of a sudden. So in St Johnstone's case, it was probably the right time for that game to come around with the Scottish Cup, given the run of form. Because confidence, it's a hell of a thing in football. I've had people say to me, in the realm of the game, that it's 80% of the game. It's just how you feel. It's how confident you are. So we might even see, because the league naturally is tight, personally, I think maybe they've got too much to do. But potentially, that one in the cup, it could spur them on to a bit of life in the league as well. But I don't think they'll be thinking that far ahead at the moment. They'll just enjoy the cup win and, of course, see how far they can go. Because, they'll be asking themselves that same old question as old as time. Would you take a relegation if it meant winning a cup? And, for St Johnstone fans, they've not had an awful lot of relegations in recent years, but they've certainly won plenty of cups.
No, that's true. The only thing that gets me though is the fact that they got Hamilton Accies after it, and I would have loved to have had Accies in the cup, but it's fine. We can play the what if game forever, but it would have been so glorious if we'd got the job done against St Johnstone, then we'd have drawn Accies in the cup. That would have been probably the best result Malone could have gotten, but it is what it is. Kind of talking about obviously Scottish Cup games. Thomas, you finally got a win.
I'm just as surprised as everybody else in Scotland. No, well, in all grand scheme of things, as well, football cliches have already been talked about in cup games and etc. But to use another football cliche, it was a professional performance. It was Elgin did a very good job. My one of my brothers was at the game, and I messaged him near halftime, being like, so what's up? Elgin have been up for it. One shot, one goal. I was like, I'll take it. But yeah, Golding especially, I expected to have because he's having a good season for Elgin currently, and he caused problems. And that division right now, League Two, is so tight. Someone's top every week. It feels like. So I was expecting a tough game, and it was a tough game. And also, it's still relatively close for Aberdeen fans, so a lot of them came up. And so, yeah, it was good. I was very pleased for Duke because I think he's needed that goal for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, because he's had performances where he's done his job, where he's got at his man, got past him, crossed it in, and no one can finish it because Kevin Nisbet's up front. So, but yeah, it's a professional performance. And to look onto the cup draw, I was very pleased that it was Dunfermline. I wanted Dunfermline away though, because I think that would have been a great away day, because Dunfermline's a club that I've wanted in the Premiership for a long time, to be honest, because of a Football Manager save I did years ago. But also, this for me, they're a Premiership standard club, and they're a big fan base, and also, of course, the Jimmy Calderwood links as well. It'll be a great big occasion, and yeah, as Ethan was saying about form going out the window, some people would have probably thought Elgin were favourites. So, but yeah, I'm pleased that the 2-month winless run is finally over, but one game at a time, as Jimmy Tulane would say, one game at a time.
Oh, I played it safe with that one game at a time nonsense, but
yes, because I was getting ahead of myself last time I was on here, because it was so hard to not get ahead of yourself, but eventually realism's come back.
Weren't getting ahead of yourself. I mean, the way Aberdeen started the season, it was brilliant watching, to be honest. I mean, being a title challenger for as long as you guys were, respect
a couple of
to you,
months.
man.
Yeah.
The fall from grace has been equally hilarious though, but I've got to
I've it's made me realise how unhealthy sometimes my emotional reaction to football is. Like just how angry I can get for a couple of hours, and then eventually I realise they don't. It's 11. It's 22 men kicking a ball around. You're fine in the end of the day. So, but yeah, St. John's, not St. Johnstone, St. Mirren, who started this winless run, we could potentially end it at home, which will be fun if that happens. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Dunfermline at home. I wanted it away, but home's fine.
Okay, home advantage and all that as well. It kind of works in your guys' favour a bit. It's quite funny that you do actually bring up the St Mirren game. I was hoping Sam was going to be on tonight for the guys that haven't met Sam yet. He's a new guy on the podcast. Big St Mirren fan, so I was hoping I can kind of stir the pot a little bit between you guys, but he's not been able to join tonight. So
I was at that game that in the press box. Ooh, but I was I hate being in the press box when I'm at an Aberdeen game, because it forces my adrenaline. It forces my adrenaline to just push down, and then I get a migraine after, and I can't ask managers questions because all I want to do is just go home, because I get a massive headache. So, and like I was like a shoulder length away from Jimmy Tulane, and I was like, oh my god. So, but yeah. Sorry, stop the tangent.
No,
but yeah,
you're fine, honestly. I had the worst game I've ever had at the Fir Park press box was Rangers. I think it was 6, Mallow 1, 7-1, Halloween 2021. Not a game I enjoyed. I was the only Mallow fan left in all Fir Park by full time. It got to the point I'd been right about like goal 4, and the 6th one was scored. I didn't even realise we had a man sent off until after I submitted the report. And my lecturer at the time was like, oh, why did you not mention Ed Carroll? I was like, I couldn't even told you there was one, because I just tuned out. I've never seen Fir Park empty as quick as that, and I was starting to leave as well, but I'm like, no, I have to stay to the end, need to do the interviews.
Yeah.
God forbid I actually do the job I'm hired to do.
Yeah.
I'm glad I've
never it's a battle. It's a battle between objectivity and your head, which is always a battle you're going to lose. So as long as you focus your objectivity on what you're writing, you're fine. But there's always one or two things. There's always one or two things afterwards. I'm like, I should have mentioned that. The one time, one of the first ever times I did my report, someone replied to me on Twitter being like, "Oh, why didn't you mention this?" I'm like, it's like the third time I've done it. Leave me alone. But like, I'm looking forward to Dunfermline at home. That's a team I've admired for a couple of years. Sorry, Callum, by the way. But I do like Dunfermline. I've kept quiet about that from him.
I was going to say, you're going to get a really angry message in the Pizza Pod of what Sam did.
Well, he's not. Well, He's already made Aberdeen jibes a couple of times in his videos and like in the chat. So fair
All's
enough.
fair, loving football.
All
What
is
about
fair.
yourself then, Ethan? 58 seconds of absolute cinema, I believe, is what happened.
Yeah, no, that was absolutely awesome. I had to give a prediction before the game started, and a lot of people thought I was off my rocker when I said 3-0 Dundee. Then, of course, after 58 seconds, I'm like, that prediction's fucking coming in. Uh, yeah, no, it was quite a weird derby as well. Obviously, we started off in the best possible fashion. We've scored an early goal, and that was a point I made to my family going into the game. I said, United are a very good defensively astute side. Um, and I don't think they're particularly good on the ball, but they still carry a good threat up front. And I think it was interesting they had the front two of Dalby and Moult. And if that's a pair they can keep together, I think there's some question marks in regards to the future of Sam Dalby. I think that could be a pretty formidable partnership. I think they kind of complement each other really well. They're both good outlets on holding on to the ball, and of course, Moult's very clinical, and Dalby's a top goal scorer. So they offer kind of very similar elements, despite their differences in physique. Uh, but yeah, no, we obviously got the early lead. If you roll back the calendar, a few weeks back when Dundee beat St Johnstone at McDermott Park, that game on paper looks ridiculous. Dundee win 3-1, but St Johnstone had something stupid like 90% possession. And it was a case that Dundee decided to go into that game, um, completely as a counter-attacking side. We weren't on the ball, but at the same time, that didn't mean we weren't controlling the game. We allowed St Johnstone to dictate what they wanted to do, but they were never going to penetrate us, and then we hit them where it hurts. And that was a great practice for the following two games in front of the Sky Sports cameras against Rangers and Celtic. And it's come full circle with the derby because that's exactly how Dundee played in the second half. I'll be entirely honest, I don't know if it was intentional or not. It was really hard to tell whether the players were just maybe breathing up their arse or if there was a kind of intentional tactical decision that was applied. But regardless, that's where it's come from. It's learning now to play on the back foot. And yeah, Dundee we held out. It was kind of like the roles were reversed in that second half. United were playing a bit more the way you expect Dundee to play, and Dundee were playing the exact same way that I've seen United play every game I've caught them this season. And I got to say, United probably unlucky that they didn't, score at all. If we're going to be honest, they wasted some great chances. Trevor Carson got the sponsors man of the match, deservedly so. Some outstanding saves. But at the same time, as on top of the goal, Dundee had chances to kill the game off, particularly Simon Murray at the end. I believe Garza blocked a shot from Lyle Cameron that was going in. Lyle Cameron then had a second opportunity that he's really got to do better with and at least hit the target. There was plenty of action across the game. I think for the neutral, it was a good watch.
Uh-huh.
But the difference with Dundee has just been that back three, with the signing of Aaron Donnelly coming back to the club to complement Ryan Astley and Clark Robertson. That's just revolutionised our backline. And yeah, we hadn't kept a clean sheet since October when we beat Motherwell away in the league 1-0. Then surely enough, first clean sheet since then last night. Because we're here, we can really kick on in the second half of the season with players coming back from injury, coming out stronger in the January window. But if we can just keep that defence on, so you can then just apply yourself as defensively astute, and you're then tough to beat. That's all the makings of a very good cup side, and we could go on a very promising run. We got drawn with Airdrie at home in the cup, which I'm sure you're also gutted. But I think a prospect of Motherwell playing Airdrie would have been a good one for you too. But we played Airdrie earlier in the season in the League Cup, and we beat them 6-1, and I think they still reside bottom of the Championship. So it's a very favourable tie for Dundee.
No, I'm quite envious with that one as well. I mean, it's been quite a few years since we played Airdrie. I think last time we played them was the 2021-22 seasons in the League Cup group stages. I think they actually ended up beating us that night, which we won't discuss because it never happened, wasn't there, didn't happen. COVID season, we just get past it, no one's seen it, never happened. But no, I'm envious. I love the Scottish Cup. The different teams you can play, like Dunfermline and Airdrie, teams you don't normally get a chance to play. Decent days out as well. Definitely not envious at all. All the big teams get put in the fourth round, anyways. But just a distraction. Takes away from the real focus of the league. But speaking of, you kind of touched on this a little bit there, Thomas, with St Mirren. Do you think you guys are going to get a result then, or do you just have to try think about it a little bit differently, just because obviously the league form you guys have had?
Interesting question. It's It's weird because Aberdeen have approached the games the same way they always have, I'd say. But I feel like opposition managers have started to figure that out. What they're
Yeah.
going to do, they're gonna a little bit. But yeah, it's one apiece. We beat them at home. They've beaten us at home. They beat at their home. Sorry. But the danger with St Mirren is their midfield, especially, is energetic. They can run around the park. Alessandro, of course, always been a threat. Always seems to score against Aberdeen. It feels like he scored an absolutely beautiful goal when, as I said, when I was there in the press box. Just big long ball over the top, chest down, boom, scored instantly. He's when he's on it, he's on it. He's clinical. Phillips, ex Aberdeen loanee, is a player that I liked at the club because I thought he suits St Mirren to a T. They're physical, they're energetic, and yeah, it's going to be a very dangerous game. Also, players like Taylor have an aerial threat. Hemming is a very even though I think it was a bit of a weird signing at the time because I thought Balcombe was decent. Hemming's a good keeper as well, and yeah, can we beat them? We can, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we will.
Mm-hmm. No, I get you fully, but fingers crossed, because it's been a while since Aberdeen have had a result, and I can't keep seeing you have a meltdown every weekend. I'm getting worried about you for Thomas.
Yeah, I just mute. The chat is muted anyway, just for the sake of my phone. But yeah. The last time we beat a team in the league was on the 9th of November against Dundee, which feels like a lifetime ago now. But yeah, sorry, Ethan, I didn't mean that. But yeah, that was a weird game. But yeah,
Well, that's what's going to happen. Here first. Your next win's also going to be against Dundee.
Yeah.
You know what?
That's how it happens. We're the best. Sorry, we're the best team in the world for knocking teams out of form back into form. Ross County hadn't won an away game for like over a year. Worst away form in Europe. Then they struck the Dens Park, and then suddenly they win 3-0. So I'm telling you, that's not a one-off. There's been plenty of other examples. So, for all the viewers listening, when that game rolls on the corner, Aberdeen to Dens, if Aberdeen are still winless, lump all your money on the Reds.
They'll be the same.
There's a couple of teams in the league who feel that exact same way because I remember Gogsy was feeling the same before the Aberdeen game, saying, "Well, we'll feel like that sort of team who just give a team a win." There have been times in my life where I feel like, "Oh, they're in bad form. Aberdeen are going to lose then." So I feel like a lot of teams in the league feel like that, but I think depending. I think the new signings for Aberdeen have started to bed in a little bit now, and they're on paper and what I've seen on the park, they look decent. I like Jensen as an energy. Tobers looks like a definite upgrade over the bomb scare that Rubezic can be. We're slowly, surely finding our feet again. I feel like, but I'm not going to get ahead of myself just because we beat a team in League Two.
I say go for it.
I'm going to keep quiet.
A win's a win, mate. You need to take whatever ones you're going to get. Speaking of the wins, a little trip down to Parkhead this weekend, Ethan. You going to the game at all, or do you think Dundee might be able to scrape some sort of result there? Obviously, going to Parkhead, it's a scary place for any team to go. How do you fancy your chances?
I'm actually missing this one. I'm not going to make it, but before we played them at the end the other week, I think it's the same. Everyone has the same view. You're like, oh, just got to write it off, not expecting anything. Maybe just give yourself a good account, and that's going to be the same again. Even though I thought we played tremendously well against them at Dens, and I thought we were worthy of the win. It's a completely different ball game. I mean, when you go down to Parkhead, and it's kind of funny. When I mentioned about the cup game against United and United being defensively astute, the longer that game kind of would go 0-0, the more it would suit them. That's why the early goal was so important, because United could hold out and they win the games late on. You go to Parkhead, it's the reverse. You want it to stay 0-0 for as long as humanly possible. just so then the pressure can build. And it's maybe a good time to play them in regards to, I think they've got some real big games kind of squashed up together. I want to say they've got a Champions League game this week to young boys, and then when we play them on Saturday, they then got to prepare for Aston Villa on the Tuesday, I think it is. So, yeah, but then the way you've also got to see it is they'll be playing for places for a big game like that. So, yeah, I'm not particularly confident, but at the same time, I'm the way I'm looking at January right now. In my eyes, January's over. I'm not even counting this game at Parkhead. Of course, unless we get a result, then of course we'll be world beaters again. But yeah, we can walk out of January with our heads held high, given the fact the way we've performed. Just the reaction we've had since losing that New Year's derby has been fantastic. We're right back in the mix, in the thick of things for that race in the top six. We're in the next round of the Scottish Cup. Saturday will not be a season-defining game by any means. I just kind of want to go there and avoid a repeat of what happened last season when they gave us 7.
No, that's understandable. I mean, you said it there yourself, going from the loss at New Year's to where you guys are now, you can't really ask for a much better kind of way of thinking of things. I'm in agreement with you. Any game against Celtic is right off training session. Unless you win, then it does define your season and it's the best game ever, and it'll be your team that's caused the single-handed downfall of the league champions. But maybe I'm just better like that when it comes to that. Ourselves, we're going back.
Well, my favourite stat this season is that only three teams have managed to score 3 goals or beyond against Celtic this season. Rangers, Borussia Dortmund, and Dundee. So there you go.
All Europe's powerhouses.
Hopefully more of the same.
The powerhouses.
Exactly, all the European titans.
I seen something like that. It was when they got absolutely destroyed off Dortmund. It was something like a list of like all their worst like defeats in history, and then the bottom was like the 1920s Motherwell betting like 8-0 or something like that. It's like, yes, right where Motherwell belongs. Dortmund to Motherwell, it's the natural progression of things. But slagging off a certain green and white team aside, you can now maybe try slag off another green and white team. Hibs, they're playing Ross County up at Dingwall. That is quite a hard game, to be honest. That's the type of game I see in Paddy Power and I immediately say, I'm not putting a single penny on that. What about you guys? You going to put your names to a prediction, or you going to try staying neutral of, it'll be a draw?
It's a difficult one because I feel like ever since that 3-3 draw we had at Easter Road, the two teams have just switched. It's just Freaky Friday a bit. I first time in a long time I've been envious of Hibs because they're playing nice football, good players, and yeah, they're starting to finally click. And they gave a manager time. No one does that anymore. They gave a manager time, and it's worked. So yeah, County obviously have players who can get impact a game. Ronan Hale is a striker. Have been very, very impressive this season, and Akil Wright, despite his weird handball volleyball spike that he did against Livingston the other weekend, like at the Scottish Cup. But I think he's a very, very good centre half, and Amisa was the main reason we lost to Ross County the other day. I'd say we had so many good chances to get back in that game, and he just, apart from his howler from Kevin Nisbet's awful free kick, he was man of the match for me. So of course Hibs have firepower of their own. Dwight Gale, of like, see, you know that tweet that's gone around like Wonder Unk.
Yeah.
On the way here, I was speaking to a taxi driver who was being like, "Oh, I just love Dwight Gale," and he talked about Wonder Unk and all that. But yeah, if you want a nailed down prediction, I think Hibs will edge it. I think it will be 2-1. But I love a game in Dingwall anyway. I so hope they stay up just because of that away day. But yeah, I would say it's going to be a tough game for both sides, but I think Hibs will just squeeze past them.
What about yourself, Ethan? You going to make any bold predictions, or you going to stay neutral?
No, I'd probably favour Ross County, to be honest, just because it's in Dingwall, and I feel this is kind of like what happens all the time. People write them off a bit too easily, but like it's a completely different game when you're up in the Highlands against them. They're known for being just so strong at home, and they're quite good that if maybe they're not going to be able to play your own game. They'll bring you down to the way they want to play. And we fell into that trap earlier in the season.
Mm-hmm.
Martin Boyle maybe kind of suits a game like that potentially, where it's just all about running it behind the lines. But again, you think, how from when I've been watching him this season, he's still obviously an impactful player, very effective. But does he have it in his system to kind of really run the full 90? I think he's now at an age where he's kind of got the time it just kind of bang on perfect. A very opportunistic player. And Dwight Gale is somewhat more of the same mould. But of course, Gale, insanely clinical as well. But no, if I'm gonna, if you put a gun to my head, I'm gonna say it's gonna be a draw. I think they've got enough to cancel each other out. I don't think it will be. Gray's got Hibs kind of, back in the race again, which is, considering where they were. Because it even felt like, in terms of the squad harmony, that they're maybe losing the dressing room a little bit. Everything kind of felt like it was on the decline, on the downward slope. So they've not only picked themselves up performance-wise, but they've certainly picked themselves up, I think, in a real morale way as well. And maybe that Edinburgh derby that they won before the New Year's has done some magic again, and just restoring some of that squad harmony too. Just having that day out and beating your rivals, and I'm not just saying that because I'm in the thick of that right now as well. But no, I'll say go for a draw. Ross County, I think they're a better team than they get credit for, and especially when they play at home, it's just very difficult. And Hibs, I think Hibs will just miss out.
To be honest, I think I'm more inclined to agree with your one, Ethan. I think it will be a one each draw, to be honest. But even then, I can see it being a goal at like half time just before the whistle blows, and then 70th or 80th minute absolute screamer equaliser. And don't ask me what order that's going to go, just take my word for it. Speaking of though, Edinburgh, we do have a game over at Tynecastle. We've got Hearts with Kilmarnock. That's kind of like, I thought some were like the opposite of like Hibs Ross County. Was like, oh yeah, both teams are quite actually not bad. They might cancel each other out. Hearts Kelly, both have been equally shocking. So it's more of a case of, will the home advantage come out on top for Hearts, or do you think Kelly's due to get their luck to turn round? What do you guys think?
Well, it's worth noting Kilmarnock beat them there, I think, the last time they went to Tynecastle. I feel like that was kind of there was a point in the season where Kelly looked like they were going to be kicking on again.
Yeah.
They went 2-0 up at Dens Park and maybe 3-2. And I'm very confident that the game they had directly before that was they'd won at Tynecastle, and that was making us kind of like shaking our shoes a little bit. The idea of like, oh right, they've just found their feet again as they come to Dundee for such what was a massive game for us at the time. So you can't rule Kilmarnock out. I know that Vassell kind of made the difference that game, and he's out. He's currently injured. I think he said so. He was on some podcast recently with a ligament injury, and now Bobby Wales. They've still got firepower there, with Bobby Wales, who's getting a lot of attention from clubs across the EFL, and of course Bruce Anderson, who's kind of a head. And I don't think they gave themselves a bad account, did they? It was a very narrow scoreline, so look. It's not going to be anywhere near the same as that. So if you can, there's no reason you can't go in that. Hearts, I don't know. So again, got a gun to my head scenario. I'd actually probably find myself back in Kelly.
I like it. A little bit controversial with that one. Ethan, what about yourself, Thomas? Then you going for Kelly, or do you think the Jam Tarts will come out on top?
You took a lot of the words out of my mouth, to be honest. Because, I was thinking, like, I was saying that I was going to say similar things. Like, I think that was their last home win. That's a game Kilmarnock should relish. Like that squad, and as a man who has seen a Derek McInnes team before in his life, that's the type of game Derek McInnes likes to spoil. Like he likes that. It's a big game, big atmosphere, and he likes to spoil that party. So I would say, like as exactly what he was going to say, Bobby Wales, Bruce Anderson is as someone I think we still should never have released. I really liked him as a player, and obviously, I was going to say they make games difficult, and Hearts seem to they're slowly finding their feet again, and they of course have their new signing as well could make an impact as well. Can't Steinvader, I think that's his name, Steinvader. So they're clear. I think, yeah, I don't see how. I do see a way that the data led Jambos could win, but I'll say a draw. It feels like 1-1 written all over it to me.
No, to be honest, I get where you're both coming from. I'm always inclined to automatically expect the home team to get a result, especially in a game like that. But I think Kelly have got the more oomph about them, just to put it bluntly. They've just got more kind of get up and go about them than Hearts do now. So I think they probably would come out on top, but that's the kind of game if I'm putting a bet on, I'm putting like a pound on Hearts to win and a pound on Kilmarnock to win, and then it ends a draw, so I end up with nothing. Kind of taking that out of the equation. A game though I'm dying to see the outcome of is United versus Rangers. Rangers away form is absolutely disgusting. They're going up to Tannadice for the game. I think Dundee United, they might be able to chance a wee result there.
I'll leave this to Ethan.
Yeah, well, I haven't just watched them. Yeah, well, I haven't just watched them. They're still a difficult side to break down, United, and yeah, Rangers away form is always going to be the main talking point. It'll come down to, I think, will they be able to handle Rangers on the day? Because again, at some point you feel it's kind of got to turn for Rangers
Yeah.
at some point. And and there's some really good players that can create things out of nothing and not scared of taking on defenders. When you look at the likes of Igamane, when you look at the likes of Hadji, so certainly even though you may size up United to get something there, it's still going to be a very difficult game for them to cope with, I think. Rangers, I think that is one of the few away wins this season. Actually, was already at Tannadice. I think Lawrence scored the only goal in the 1-0 win. So that will still be fresh in Rangers' heads as well. They've already won there before. They can go there. They can do it again. And United, I think they got the draw at Ibrox in the reverse fixture. So I think both sides will be very wary, very, very respectful. But I don't know, it's tough with United specifically as well. I mean, they had Kevin Holt in the field against us, and they started three right backs across that lineup, in likes of Adebayoga, Ryan Strain, and that Lucas Stevenson they've got on loan from Liverpool. But obviously after getting beaten in the derby, they'll be really fired up as well and looking for a point to prove that they can bounce back. Because the worst thing that can happen to them is that you're out the cup. I've obviously mentioned Dalby earlier. Kevin Holt, some stories breaking today about him potentially going to Ireland. I know that they're missing Ross Docherty. And Ross Docherty, if he's not playing and there's no Babunski either, they tend to be the kind of best players in that United side. The kind of the rhythm. Babunski, I don't think he was there, and I'm not having a dig at him. Like he wasn't playing at Dens, as far as I'm aware. Like a cheeky remark, I generally don't think he did play. From what I can remember, I was in hospitality, I had a lot of booze. So I don't know. I think when you miss that midfield maestro as well, in a game like that, your midfield's probably your most important position in football, your most important department, especially in a game like that. They're going to have to hold their own. So yeah, listen, I wouldn't be surprised if it finished a 0-0. I wouldn't be surprised if Rangers drop points again. But trying to be as neutral as I possibly can here, I probably would back Rangers to win again. Again, there's reasons established there. I don't think that midfield setup they had against us would work against Rangers. So, yeah, tough to see actually how they get around that.
No, you've got an interesting take on it there, Ethan. What about with yourself, Thomas? You going to throw your hat in the ring, make a prediction, or
I want a way for both of them to lose, but right.
relegate them both just for having the
Relegate
cheek?
them both. But no. All kidding aside, in the 1-0 win, we beat them at home, and the 1-0 loss, we got beat away. There was two common themes I've in those two games. There were Dundee United being very, very difficult to break down. In the 1-0 win, eventually the Aberdeen pressure totaled, but if you allow Dundee United to play their game, then they're very difficult to break down. No matter how good of a team you are. But I think Rangers are starting to click a little bit more now. Hadji, as soon as he's been back in the team, has helped change them a little bit. He's seemed to have been revitalised, and that spell in the B team has kicked him up the arse a bit. Igamane, of course, everyone's going to talk about him. And yeah, I think it's a game that's going to be, again, tough for both. But if, gun to my head, 2-0 Rangers. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if Dundee United get a result, because that's a game where I think Dundee United are suited for their approach to football. But I'm not saying like a defensive approach is a bad thing. I'm saying, but in the right scenario, it's what works. What works works. And Jim Goodwin seems to have built a side that finally he's got the time to build a side he wants to build, and it's working. So yeah, I would still say 2-0 Rangers, but wouldn't be surprised if Dundee United get a result.
Rangers have to play at Old Trafford as well before that, don't they? They've got to play on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So depending on that goes down,
in a weird way, they're favourites for that game in some ways.
yeah, I was just about to say.
Because Man United are weird and Rangers are weird. It's two just completely weird teams just battling. But they turn up on
You
a
could see it,
Thursday.
couldn't you?
Oh no,
You
definitely.
could see them winning at Old Trafford and then go to Tannadice and then like getting beat. Like that would be the most Rangers thing to happen. I think they beat Nice away from home 4-1. I mean, you'll give them flack for their away form, but in Europe, they still turn up away from home. So
They got
yeah,
beat
no,
with
that
St.
would be
Mirren
quite a
after
funny
that
one to
game.
see. That. Yeah, yeah. So
Like
yeah,
it's been proven
one
that
to watch.
that's yeah.
It's for some reason Rangers just seem to remember how to play football on a Thursday. Like when they actually won the Old Firm at New Year, that was a Thursday as well. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy.
They
However,
didn't. They didn't win at Dens Park on a Thursday though.
I was gonna say they have done some league performances not the best on a Thursday, but it'll be. I don't think the football that Clermont plays really. It works really well in Europe for a reason, because Rangers aren't really expected to win those games, and it works. But in a league like Scotland, it's a different. You have to have most of the ball and not really counter attack. If you're a Rangers manager and you're counter attacking against pick a team, say Johnston, that's not a good look. So, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
using the law of my team's bigger than yours, if Rangers do somehow pull off a result against Man United, but then lose to Dundee United, does that mean that Dundee United is now, by again the laws of my club's bigger than yours, the bigger United team?
I don't want to enter. I don't think
Absolutely not.
either of us would. I don't think either of us would want to entertain that thought.
I like to entertain it because I find it funny. Because it'll never be Mullow. That's fine.
No. I'm backing my guy Gordon Strachan at Dundee. He played against United whilst playing for Man United all those years ago in the 80s. Obviously, him being not from Dundee, but obviously a Dundee man at heart. And I think I listen. I follow English football as well. I really don't like Man United, and I'll probably be rooting them on to win on Thursday just because I can't stand the idea of of that.
Your microphone has picked the perfect time to glitch out there because all I heard was, I can't stand them, but I'm hoping that they win, and we do not have a clue who they are. So that is even better.
You could just leave it as an open-ended secret.
Exactly. Don't even elaborate that one. Just let people guess. This is going to be end up with the captions coming back.
That's funny because
deciding who the team is.
It could work well for both.
It could have literally applied.
Yeah, I was going to say. For what it's worth, I hate them all. So, yeah.
You'll not find any secret Rangers bias here at Dens Park Choir. You'll not find that at all, or at Sammy's Weeks are here. But we won't even talk about the St Johnstone Mullow game. Do not make me relive that misery, please. I'm not looking forward to this at all. I said it in the BBC fan column. We will not win both games. I don't think St Johnstone will win both games either. But I'm actually scared that they might actually win both games. And it terrifies me, but we move, we go to Perth, we come home, hopefully we win. Doubt it, but need to remain hopeful. I know what you guys were saying about the cup game, it's a fresh slate, all that fun stuff. terms of the league, but do you think because we've already played them last week, we're like, right, okay, we know for definite what we're up for? Or do you think everything will just get completely thrown out after last week?
Well, I think one of the main reasons St. Johnstone performed so well is because, again, cliche, they played it like a
It's,
cup
it,
game.
Yeah.
Like in the league, they're a bit different, I'd say, because like confidence is everything in football. So you could say, St. Johnstone will probably be thinking in their camp, we beat them before, we can do it again. But
We literally beat them 7 days ago.
in the other like camp, Mother will be thinking, well, we know what they're going to do now. So it's literally just 50-50. But it's just I don't think anyone would be excited by this game, to be honest. But
I'm not even excited for it, and it's my own team it's playing. I don't even want to think about it. It's when I wish I was working, so I'd have an excuse not to watch live scores. But unfortunately, I've actually got the weekend off, so I've got no choice
I
but to follow the game. I'm not going to it just because I'm not forking out the train fare to travel to Perth. Absolutely not. But
that's the away day I haven't done, and I'm glad I haven't done.
I was dying to go last weekend. I had plans to go, but it fell through last minute. And looking at the result, I'm like, thank God I didn't go, because normally I get blamed for us losing in away games and cup games. Every single away day in the cup I've been to, we have lost horrifically to teams that we should have been beaten. Wraith Rovers that I talked about last time, that was my first ever away day, beat. Great Morton, January this year, well, last year I should say, 2024, beat. St Mirren in the League Cup, beat. I'm not allowed to go to away games in the cup. The only away game in the cup we've actually won was against Clyde, and I don't think that should even count because it's Clyde. Like, if we're not beating a League One, League Two side, there's something seriously wrong there. But then again, it's Mullow, so wouldn't put it past us.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. The way I kind of see it going down is I expect to be because it's the home advantage, and yeah, like I say, St Johnstone they've gotten that win, and
Yeah.
it might breathe some life into them, but at the same time, Motherwell, those players they'll be forcing a reaction out of themselves because Motherwell they have shown at times this season they have the capacity to turn up.
Oh, we do. That's what makes it
They'll
more
be
cute when we don't. Is the fact I know we're capable of it, but
fully
just
conscious.
sometimes,
Yeah,
nah.
exactly.
It's not easy being a
Exactly.
Mullow fan. You need blood pressure, medication, and strong heart. Honestly,
You are
Gogsy will have a
preaching to the choir, sister, the dance part choir specifically.
No, I know what
Aye,
you
there's
mean.
been a couple. There's
But
like confidence in
yeah,
football is just absolutely manic sometimes because you can see in like the Aberdeen squad. For me, it's a big things mentality in that team
Oh,
right
it
now.
is.
They don't believe in themselves. There's a lot of the players. I'm just in case any of them see this. I'm not naming names, but
It's you
I
specifically player number.
I know, but it's just there's too many players in that team that when their head goes down, it stays down. Like
Uh-huh.
Hughes beat us.
Great
You had
day.
a good you had a good 10-minute spell where you scored 2 goals.
It was
It did
great.
nothing else before and after.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It was just as soon as Motherwell started to get that good spell,
Yeah.
mentality dropped, confidence dropped, and just every single time there's a sign of adversity in that team, their heads drop.
Oh no, you're
Also,
right.
I'm on a podcast. I'm allowed
well,
to
there's
yap,
very
so no need for that.
there's very few that's there's very few things in football though that's worse than getting beat off a team that's bottom of the league because
Oh
you
yeah.
look around and you see that everyone else in the division is taking points off them. So I think Motherwell will be very conscious of that going into the game, thinking, well, look, all the teams around us are taking points off St Johnstone. We can't afford to be the team that gifts them points because obviously it's not. I'm not saying it's like a. It's hard to put into words because it's not a 6 pointer, obviously, but at the same time, it's like it's still like a massive blow
No, it's because it's
if you fail to win games like that. And like I say,
another beautiful,
This is so
perfect time for
ironic.
the right to go.
So ironic.
Oh, I love it. Honestly, Ethan, please don't replace that mic.
This is
Please
this
don't
is
touch
good.
it.
This is going to be a
Perfect.
great
audio.
listen back. This is going to be a great listen back.
I can
I
just
don't even think it's the microphone though. That's a
It must
microphone.
be. It must be a connection thing
Well,
at this
that,
point.
Yeah, has to be.
It's perfect timing. Like, you couldn't actually write it some of the times this is cut out, but
the point you were making about dropping points, like Aberdeen lost to St Johnstone at home. That was embarrassing. That was an embarrassing day. But it's like St Johnstone have proven that they know what they can play football. It's just they don't like
play it very well.
their system. I commend Valakari for what he's doing. He's trying, if you know what I mean. He's just trying. He's just there in it. He's just there. But I think if you want to again gun head 1-0 Motherwell. I think
Thank
it's
you.
going to be
Like,
a 1-0 either side, but I think home advantage will just edge it.
I take that back. Banned from the pod. Ethan,
I
do you
think they've got
want
more
to
match winners too.
keep in mind you have to pay respects to
Yeah,
them?
I think Motherwell have more match winners.
I always liked you, Ethan. You can come back on the podcast with me anytime. Sorry, we'll make sure that Lee doesn't hit that remove button for but I might ask the question, so don't blame me if the admin controls end up taking over. But no, it's one of the games, do you know what I mean? You're right, like with all of it, we do have on paper anyway better players. They have a bit of a confidence after beating us there. It's a game I just want to block out, to be honest, because I dread to see what the score's going to be. Because if we don't win, that's a major embarrassment. And where we are at the season, yeah, Mullow's still kind of drifting about the top six. Looks brilliant, but we were only doing so well because your usual top six teams were struggling. Like the Hearts, Hibs, they were doing awful, which we made great on because it meant we were taking points off everyone else. And because everyone's taking points off Hibs and Hearts, we were able to shoot up the table. At one point, we were like third or fourth for like a week or two, whereas now we're kind of drifting about 5, 6, and sometimes 7th place. But I just don't want to think about the game, to be honest. Don't expect to hear from me on Saturday. It's not going to happen. I pray for poor Gogsy if he's going to go to 2 weekends in a row because he's a better man than me. I don't know how the boys know lost all his hair yet or his hair's not turned completely grey with the stress of following Willow. But fair play to him because I can't do it. I've not got the willpower for it. But all this nice cheeriness aside, I promise we actually do have positive things to talk about here on the Pizza Pod. But kind of now that we've focused on all the games, the main thing I want to kind of just more so to the fans of the podcast is please keep an eye out. We've got the interview of the absolute century coming out soon. If you don't follow us on Twitter, please follow Simon's Pizzeria to find out when the first announcement video will be for our sit down with Connor Salmon. It's been great chatting with you guys tonight, gents. Sorry about the technical issues with you, Ethan, but honestly, you've done great. Thanks for sitting down with ourselves at Salmon's Pizzeria, your best place to ever get a slice of Scottish football action. Please subscribe to the pod if you haven't already on Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts, Twitter, because I'm not calling it X, Facebook, Instagram as well. Find us on there. And I hope you lovely people have an even more lovelier evening.